rip. I had the audio doubling up there. My bad, y'all. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Didn't mean to scream in the microphone there. I'm just excited, ready to get things going, ready to break some stuff. Who's ready to break some airplanes today? I sure am. I bet Toliss is sitting at home sweating a little bit if they see this stream floating through the YouTubes, because we are going to do some damage today. Good to see everybody here in the chat. I did have to move the members. I had to move the chat to the members only. Today's stream is going to be a super high workload. Just kind of wanted to slow the roll in the chat a little bit, but don't fret. Later today, 4:30, Phoenix V2 updated version has also released. We're going to zip back over to Australia too. We're going to fly down to Melbourne, which is English for no frames when you have the Orbic scenery, apparently. But we're going to take a close look at that new Phoenix update as well. Looks like they fixed a couple of things. We're going to take a look at it. So that'll be a full-blown, everybody can chat, all that good stuff. Today we're back in our training mode, sim prep, listen to. Today we're doing V1 cuts, RTOs. We're going to do some visual approaches. Well, we have one visual approach. We're going to do an RNAV visual. Fire and failures. We're going to burn stuff. Now, you may have seen in the thumbnail 319. This is the lowdown for today's stream. Here we go. We're in a 320 Neo right now because I wanted to try some stuff. My actual sim is going to be in a 320 Classic with IE. So I have to kind of take the best of both worlds here. I'm going to try to do some 320 stuff today, but then we're also going to kind of wrap up today's stream in the 319. So this is the lowdown. We're going to do 320. We're going to take off here. We'll do an RTO. We'll practice RTOs. We've got to make sure we save the state on that one. Then we're going to take off, and we're going to, I wasn't going to do this, but we're going to do steep turns, and we're going to go through the whole stall series again, just because we just did this in Phoenix, or I'm sorry, we just did this in Microsoft in the Phoenix a couple streams back. So while it's fresh in my mind, I kind of want to take a look at how the 320 here in X-Plane handles everything. That way when we get back in Microsoft, we'll take another look at that as well. So we're going to go through the stall series again. We're going to do the maneuvers. Then we're going to come in for the RNAV visual here, 19er left in Las Vegas. Then we're going, I have a state saved already. We're going to zip back to the runway, and we're going to do a fire failure V1 cut profile, but we're not going to fly the whole profile. We're basically going to take off, fail the engine, light the engine on fire, run through our memory items, our initial actions, try it again until we're nice and proficient. Then when we feel like we're good to go, I have a state saved for the 319 where we're going to put it all together. We're going to take off out of Seattle, low vis, Cat 1 conditions. We're going to do a V1 cut. We're going to come back around. We're going to do the whole procedure, and then we're going to land ILS hand flow into minimums with a single engine in Seattle. So that's the lowdown for today. Time for another swim in someone's pool. Yes, it's going to be a hot one, Bob. Welcome to the stream, Kyle. Good to see you. Sam F., good to see you, man. You're making X-Plane 12 mighty tempting, I gotta admit. Well, Sam, if you think it's tempting, let me just show you something here. I'm doing a little bit of a cinematic action. If I look behind us now, you'll see my lovely Las Vegas airport. Do you guys see anything wrong with that? Yeah, the terminal is gone. The terminal decided to leave the stream. And we're also sitting in the traditional, this has plagued me since X-Plane 11 original release. My Las Vegas has never worked. Like, it has never looked good. I'm either in a hole here or my buildings are missing, and so we have no terminal. So we're actually at the cargo ramp, which is a super short taxi into the runway. But that's the reason I wanted to start up on this one is because there's a procedure that I really do. I haven't done it in a long time, but it's actually air conditioning during automatic start. You Euro pilots are going to love this because we're actually going to start number 2 first. And I wanted to see if the Toliss will indicate something here, and I'll get to that when we start up. So we're going to fire it up. Let's do it. Is this Vegas or Area 51? Fubar, it's hard to tell the difference, isn't it? It's hard to tell the difference. Didn't pay the rent, got forced to move. Yeah. So actually, you know what's kind of funny about that, Cyclone? So when I flew freight, little mini tangent here before we get into this, but when I flew freight, we used to be based in Oakland, like the Oakland International Airport, or isn't it International? Oakland, the main airport, K-Oak. Well, they raised the rent for our freight operation. So they decided instead of paying the new rent fees, they were going to move all of our feeder aircraft to Hayward, which is literally like 1.5 or 2 miles from Oakland. And almost all of our flights starting out would be from Hayward. You would just leave the gear down. You would take off, and then you would be like at the final approach fix for Oakland International or whatever the K-Oak is. So because they raised the rent, they moved everybody like a couple miles south, and then the first flag of every flight was a repo to Oakland. It was the quickest flight you ever did. Unless it was IMC, and then there was a bunch of Southwest flying, then you had to actually take off and go do you'd have to do like a 30-minute procedure just to go 3 miles. But Anyway, terminal melted in the heat, probably. So when does toliss do planes for FSX? Since when did toliss do planes? Hey, now. No, this 320 looks good, though. I mean, you could put this 320 in Microsoft, man. Look at this 320. I absolutely love it. We do have the KOSP sound pack as well today. So we got that in the 320, which is going to be nice, sporting the Pratt & Whitney engines. Let's go ahead and fire it up, right? So here we go. Is my fan? Yeah, my fan's on medium, but it seems extra loud. I guess it's just extra quiet in the sim because we don't have all those trucks around. So this is not your traditional A to B stream. This is, we're going to break stuff stream. So here we go. We're going to go battery 1, battery 2. We'll get that powered up here. We'll get everything going. And then we don't have anybody to load. We'll just kind of do a manual loading of the aircraft and then get out of here. Pools are boiling in Texas. Caleb, I know, man. It's hot. It's actually getting hot here in Georgia, too, now. So I think when I leave for training, it's supposed to be like 103, 104, which I haven't seen triple digits in Georgia yet, so hopefully I'll miss that. But my chickens, man, my chicken flock is not, they are not enjoying this heat here. Does the toliss have cabin music? No, not like the Fokker, unfortunately. No, it does not. Let's do just a quick power-up sequence here. We're not going to go through our full flow. We're just gonna do our thing here to get her fired up. Put you into normal. Everything is good. Definitely want to make sure the fire test worked today. That's all good up the right hand side. Beautiful out and on. Killed that. Oh, that reminds me. Let's kill this marker beacon down here. Is it off already? I think it's off in the 320. So it's just in the 319 where that marker beacon stays on. Take a quick look at our hydraulics. We got hydraulicals, we got engine oil, we got pressurization and auto, and it's doing something funky, but that's fine. We'll go right into an APU start here too, actually. You know what? Let's do that in a second. Let's load up the box for a simple flight plan. We're going to do a simple flight plan, Las Vegas to Las Vegas. Do you use X Organizer? I do. I did for X-Plane 11. I didn't do it in X-Plane 12, Matthew F. I didn't do it in X-Plane 12. I actually used it in X-Plane. I used my X-Plane 11 version in X-Plane 12 to get my scenery for somewhere, I can't remember, and it worked. But maybe that's what messed it up. But I mean, at this point, I just until we're not Cactus. What are we today? We're sporting the regular. We're sporting the regular Neo. Let's go bourbon. We're going bourbon 357, cost index 55. We'll call it a cruise altitude of 10,000. We'll never get there. Yeah, we might actually. We'll just speed up the alignment here. We'll do a flight plan departure. We're going to depart 26 right today, and we're going to take it out on the. Let's do the Knights 3. We're not going to go all the way out there. We'll just do a Knights 3 to Turker. I think that's towards Dallas. We'll insert you. Arrival. Come right back in here. RNAV. Now, I did have this one. I wonder if it's in the box here. So I want to load the RNAV Zulu 19er left. RNAV Zulu 19er left. No star. Approach via P-pen. We'll go ahead and insert you. There we go. Beautiful. So this is a this RNAV here, the Zulu, is pretty close to our actual RNAV visual. So for my operator, we have custom RNAV charts at some airports, custom RNAV visual procedures that aren't going to be in your standard nav database. But this one very closely represents our company's custom RNAV visual to 19s. Let me just make sure here. Let me go back to. I'm playing with my real world iPad here too, and that's why you see me looking down. We do need to finish our. We gotta start doing some more study question file. Maybe we can do that in our flight down to Melbourne today. We'll get back into the question file because we need to do more studying, chat. We need to do more studying. I feel like I am falling. Hold on, let me look this up one thing at a time here. RNAV visual 19er left. So yeah, the RNAV visual 19er left. I wonder if I can build it actually. I'm just curious if these waypoints are actually in here. Let me see. I know P-Pen is. What about... And Kaivi's in there. Kaivi's in there. What about after Kaivi is... I just want to see if this waypoint exists. How do I do that? Let's go. Let's just do a rad nav on it. Let's do D-Fridge. D-F-R-I-G. Do you exist? You actually do. son of a gun, it actually exists. Well, that's interesting. I'm looking at my real-world chart, comparing it to this one. It's very similar. I tell you what, we'll just fly this one. We won't build it, but I guess I could have actually built it. That's interesting. Okay, good deal. Anyway, and Megabyte Gaming, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you on board, my friend. Welcome. Well, welcome, I should say, to becoming a member here on the V1 channel. Glad to have you on board. Always a pleasure picking up extra members here. All right, let's do a quick loading. I want to put this pretty much at max landing weight, so let's just fill you up. Let's get rid of the cargo. Let's go 10,000 pounds of fuel. We don't need all of that cargo. So what's our 320 Neo landing weight with Pratt & Whitney's chat? 148,591. So 137 plus 10, that's 147. That's pretty darn close. I like that loading. What's that CG will apply? We'll do this. That puts us at that CG. Very good. I like it. So let's come here. Zero fuel weight, 137.6 and 29.7. 137.6 and 29.7. Boom. Block fuel on board is 10.1. Boom. Dunsky. Negative time. That's fine. Why are we so negative? We won't need it. We'll be fine. But anyway. All right, that looks fine. Everything looks good. Our flight plan's in the box. Perf data. Let's go ahead and do uplink. Let's do a takeoff data request. While we're waiting for that, let's get the APU fired up. KOSP sound pack. Absolutely love it. We'll get our fuel tank pumps on while we wait. There's our 3 seconds and fire it off. Let's take a listen. We do have the E rudder installed too, so I kind of wonder if there's going to be any handling characteristics difference with this one. After a month off, just getting rusty. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Currently from the Phoenix, flying from Mexico City to DFW. Been using a pilot's life. Very cool. Experienced a spicy approach in a Palm Springs. Oh yeah, Palm Springs is spicy, man. For sure. So having an awesome time in X-Plane 12 finally. It feels like a great sim. Megabyte Gaming. I got to tell y'all. Everybody that's watching this stream right now, those landings we did yesterday in the 319 with a 10 knot, what was it, 15 knot crosswind direct, almost it just felt so good. It felt so realistic to me. It's special. There's some special handling characteristics in this sim. I won't deny it. I won't deny it. The new auto ortho install is pretty easy. Matthew F., I did see that there is an auto ortho install program now that makes life easier. Matthew, I might just have to do it here soon. I don't think X-Plane 12 is quite ready for me yet personally, but I'm looking at these clouds out here. It's looking better. I think if they keep pumping up these updates and they keep going in the right direction, now that auto ortho has a simple install package, I am very much thinking about it. All right, I'm very much thinking about starting to put it in my stream rotation more frequently, but not yet. Not yet. We are going to flex today, unfortunately. I'm going to change that flex number to 55, though. So there's a reason we are flexing today, and on these streams. Number one, because my takeoff in a sim will probably be a flex takeoff, and I got to make sure I'm not just going to Toga all the time. Number two, there can be some there's some techniques in regards to single engine and thrust when you have a flex setting. So sometimes you have to go to Toga and back to MCT or prime to MCT. So by putting it in the MCT or by putting it in the flex detent, it triggers me mentally to do that extra step by going into Toga and then back to MCT. So that's why, and that's probably what's going to happen in my recurrence. So that's kind of why we're flexing on these streams only. But I'm going to raise that up, or I'm going to lower that flex to 55. 46, 46, 49, flap 1, up point 2. Very good. We're waiting for the alignment to finish. Everything else is good. We'll get you off. We'll turn you on. And we can go ahead and close up the doors out there. Everything looks good. They're closing up shop. We're finishing the finishing our alignment. Hey, Aaron, did you see Alaska? Yeah, Aaron, so that was a landing in John Wayne, and my buddy actually texted me, so I got a couple buddies that work in Alaska. 737, John Wayne in the Storm Hillary. you guys think, you know, you've had some rough landings? They drove those gear struts, or that left main gear strut, through the wing in John Wayne. So, going to be interested to see what Blanco Lirio runs up on that one, if they get any. I'd like to see it. I'm on a Blanco Lirio kick, man. He's pumping out good videos. I keep listening to him when I'm driving to and from the office. I love his content, cut and dry, no BS, straight facts, interjects his opinions here and there, but I mean, the dude has been flying for 60-something years, so he's earned the right. But Sim Observer here's V1 say yoga. But yeah, that John Wayne landing was gnarly. The beta has had problems, but the latest one is beautiful. Megabyte Gaming, the environmentals of the sim are getting much better for sure. Do you say yoga in real life? No, because I got to make sure I have to put this in real life. I don't just want to keep ramming them up the flex, or keep going up the Toga from the sim, from the streaming. I got to actually stay focused when we're actually in the airplane, you know. But I do say, I say ERP in my mind a lot, I've noticed. All right, I'm going to just set 10,000 feet initial here. 10,000 is set. And constraint mode will zoom you down to 10. Okay, everything else looks good. Let's do a cockpit preparation checklist. Cockpit preparation checklist. Maintenance log, tail number on board and check. Gear pins covered, remove signs. Our seatbelts on, aiders, navin, fuel. We need, technically we need like 10 required, 10-1 on board. Altimeters are, ooh, that's what I wanted to check. You know what, let's just do the map view here. Map view, lost wages, details, 3004. 3004 set, EFB check. Cockpit preparation checklist complete. Before start checklist, windows, doors, and slides. They are closed and armed. Beacon on, thrust levers idle. I just got an update available for Simlink. No, I'm done with Simlink. I think I'm going to uninstall Simlink. It's driving me nuts. I think it's also killing frames. Probably not, but I just don't like Simlink. It's annoying. If I have you installed for less than a month and you've already asked me to update twice, I'm uninstalling you. Alright. Everything looks good there. Let's get the procedure now. Brandon Osborne, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you on board. So, engine start with air conditioning to the cabin. So before I get into the procedure, let me talk about why we're doing this here. Let me get the cams up so you can see as well. So, oh good, are my files all jacked up now? I think they are. Don't tell me. Are you serious, man? I hate this freaking app. It like updated. I had the procedure ready to go. All right, so in the United States, in the Airbus, normal procedures, at least for my operator and pretty much every Airbus operator that I've been on, they start engine number 1 first, barring some abnormal situations. Now, when you start getting into the Neo aircraft, Pratt & Whitney specifically, engine start times can be rather lengthy, especially if it's really hot and you're going to have a dual cooling period. The dual cooling period, in fact, if I go here, you should see, we'll pop it up here, is in this particular case, it's only 20 seconds. I've seen cooling as I've seen it over a minute. I've seen it like a minute and 10 seconds before per engine. So if you are going to start engines, you start engine 1 first. What's going to happen is you hear the air conditioning cut out, right? The pack's cut out in the back. The back of the cabin can get very, very warm, especially if you're doing an 8-minute engine start, and especially if you're in Las Vegas or DFW when it's 120 degrees outside. So there is a procedure that allows to start engine 2 first, which will allow conditioning in the back of the cabin. So I'm going to bring that out. It's very simple. You basically start engine 2 first and close the crossbleed, but I wanted to look it up here again. I hate content locker. Air conditioning during automatic engine start. This is applicable through the Pratt & Whitney Neo aircraft 320s only. Okay, the standard procedure, this standard procedure can be used if engine 2 is started before engine 1 as per SOPs with APU bleed or external pneumatic power. So you can do it with the APU or the external pneumatic power. Which might be good if you're doing external pneumatic power because you probably don't have an APU then, which means the cabin is going to be super hot anyway. So engine 2 start. When idle is reached and the avail indication is displayed, we're going to close the crossbleed valve. When this occurs, the Pack 2 flow control valve will automatically open. Then when you start engine 1, when idle is reached, avail indication is displayed, crossbleed auto normal resume. So basically, when you close the crossbleed valve, the Pack 2 control valve will open, allowing air into the cabin. So we're going to find out. So we're going to go engine mode to ignition start. We'll do it like this. We'll do it study mode here. Oh, we got to do dual cooling. We got to do dual cooling. Push button on. This is study mode engine starting. Make sure your thrust levers are at idle. That's always a pro tip. And start engine 2 first, automatic start. So there's nothing abnormal about doing this. We just don't do this normally. We always normally start engine 1. So here we go. Let's just see if we get air conditioning after we start this and close the crossbleed valve. Aaron, no, that airplane I'm probably pretty sure it's done, especially if there's like an older 2000 7.3, wasn't it? Why doesn't the front gear have brakes? Weight, money, parts, not necessary. Well, you got to run a bunch of systems to the front too if you do that. Oh, I'm sorry. Tiller cam is blocking that. Good catch. Thank you. Yeah, Sam, I think you're right. How the 7.3 starts up. With the isolate or ventilate. Isolate and ventilate. Yeah. Alright, so there's our avail indication. Let's go ahead and go crossbleed to shut. Now, I don't believe the pack flow control valve is opened now, but it should. This is some next level stuff here, so I'm not surprised if it's not simulated. I'm trying to remember. This is the pack flow control valve right here, because you can see it's in the normal position. So this indication should, in the real airplane, open up with engine 2 running and this shut. So, in theory, right now we would have air conditioning. Wait a second. Why did this just go to high? Yeah, that fault that's associated. That's associated ECAM. So Pack 1 is in high. That's interesting. But where is Pack 1 getting its air from? I think I've created mathematical problems for Torsten now. Gustavo, you're in the chat. Good. Gustavo, I'm correct, right? I'm correct in thinking that in this particular configuration, crossbleed is shut. Per the book for Pratt & Whitney's, the Pack 2 flow control valve should open. And we should be getting air conditioning here. Let me go ahead and start engine 1. Let's see what happens. So now this pack flow control valve closes. Oh, I guess it could be getting APU bleed from here. I guess it would be getting it from the APU bleed. So that's where Pack 1. That was correct. I was wrong by saying that was incorrect. So Pack 1 would have opened because of the APU bleed going to Pack 1. But we should, with this shut, forced closed, this should be open for isolated there to get air conditioning in the cabin. Yeah, it would have been an APU bleed. So that everything else was correct other than this should have been opened when we closed the crossbleed valve. Man, that KOSP sound pack though, 10-4-10. Guys, if you haven't already, if you fly X-Plane 11, which I'm assuming a lot of you do now that are tuning in on this stream, and you have any toliss airplanes, just go get the KOSP sound pack. It'll make your life incredibly better on X-Plane. It's a phenomenal sound pack. All right, we got 2 good engine starts. We got 2 avails. All right, so now we can just put this back to normal, and you would resume the normal after start checklist. With that going back to normal, this cross bleed, we'll go ahead and clear this out here, and then it'll go back to normal condition. So, all right, I just thought I would try it. We tried it, and we figured it out. So, all right, cool. Let's do an after start. We're doing a flaps 1, so I can't really arm you. I'll try to arm you. Let's come over here. We'll do flappero uno. And we'll turn the APU bleed off. We'll turn the APU off. And we'll turn the dual cooling push button off. We'll go ahead and get rid of the chocks and external power. Done. It's a short taxi out. Let's do our flight control checks. Full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, rudder, full left, full right, neutral. We're up 0.2 on the trim. I'll do the cheater set mode right there. Auto brakes max, takeoff config check. Engine 1, oh, I see you, toliss. What's our limit? What's our temperature for before takeoff for engine oil? You guys remember? I should know this. I'm asking you because I forget. It's like 52, 54, 53. It's between 50 and 55. Gustavo, what is it? We gotta have a limitations quiz. Hold on, Max. I'm scanning through. EGT limits. What's our EGT limits on a Pratt & Whitney? 1083, 1043, and 1083. Scanning through EGT limit for you. Min oil pressure. Nope. That's 65 PSI. I think it's like 54. Because this will go, or 52. It's 52, right? I think it's 52. I know, the reason I know that is because it only goes in increments of 5, right? So this is going to go straight to 50. And then now it's still amber, but it won't go green until it's 55 because it goes in increments of 5. I got asked that on my captain upgrade check, and he was very impressed. He's like, so if you hit the takeoff push button and you get a engine 1 oil low temperature, what temperature are you looking for if it's 50 degrees? I'm like, well, you're looking for 52. He's like, well, how would you going to know if it's going to be green? I'm like, well, you can't until it's 55 because it only goes in increments of 5. Very good, very smart. You're very, very good. There we go. See? Boom. Now we do a takeoff config check. And if I go back to the engine page, oh, so this actually, yep, see, 55 degrees. 55 degrees, goes in increments of 5. We're good to go now. All right, cabin check. We'll do a forward call. And we're going to get out of here. I can't arm the spoilers still, but that's fine. Brakes released. We'll do a hard right turn out of here. Oh, Pratt & Whitneys are so nice. Well, they're not. They're actually costing our airline a lot of money. The sounds, though. Crossbleed auto. I put it back in auto, didn't I, Captain Meow? If I didn't, you have to Alt F4 and never watch a stream again. Oh! I didn't. So I have to Alt F4 the stream. Thank you, Captain Meow. Brake check, pressure 0. Andres MT, welcome back to Private Pilot, sir. Glad to have you on board. Been a while. Looks like you got your rank back, Andres. Always a pleasure to have members coming back to the channel. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Gina, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Glad to have you on board, my friend. Yeah, the engine sounds alone. I mean, it's rare that we get a sound pack that makes me want to taxi like I taxi in real life. So see, I spool it up there, then I like hit the brakes, go to idle, and then have to bring them back up because I love hearing that sound. Just kidding, I don't do that in real life. Don't do that. What causes the sound? I actually don't know what the actual cause of that acoustic whale is. I mean, it's obviously some acoustic something is happening back there. I just fly the thing, man. I don't know why it is. If someone knows in chat, though, I'd be interested. I know, what is it, didn't the F-18 have like a really weird, almost like a farting noise when it starts too? I'm not quite sure what mechanical things are happening back there. I think it's just kind of similar to, like, you know, you blow on an empty beer bottle and it, ooh, I would imagine it's something like that. It's a conch, yeah. Captain Geo, good to see you, man. Hope you're doing well, man. All is well here, Captain Geo. 40 months of support. One of the OG members, Captain Geo. Man, I hope life is treating you well, my friend. Welcome to the stream. How often do you have a check ride? Define check ride. Typically, there is a checking event at least every 6 months. It could be every year, depending on how your airline in the States operates training. That doesn't include line checks. Oh, shoot. Immersion killer. We're not doing normal stream stuff. Don't mind me off-roading there. Gustavo, it's a thermodynamic harmony sound on the combustion chamber. See, that's exactly what I said. Thanks, Gustavo. All right, we're going to state save it here once we're all lined up, because we're going to do some RTO practice. All right, that is good. Let's come down here. Let's go above TARA. That's on auto. It is auto. Everything looks good right there. And all right, so Lucas, thank you for gifting a membership. Hasso Basso, you picked up a membership from Lucas. That's very kind of you. Welcome to the channel, Team Green. Make sure you let him know you're appreciative of that. Thank you for that membership gift there, Lucas. That's very kind of you. All right, I'm going to go. This is why I love X-Plane for this. So you see, I already have EO stuff. We're going to do that later. But I want to save this one. I'm going to call this one RTO ready. So I'm going to save this situation so we can come right back to where we are. But now I'm going to introduce a fault. We're going to add a new fault. What do we want to fail here? Let's do a, I'll tell you what, we'll do engine 1. Let's do a fire. So we get some ECAMs. We'll do a fire at IAS of, let's see, V1 is 146. This is calibrated, so let's say we get one close to V1. Let's say we get like 100 and we'll do like 125 knots. So we're going to do an actual RTO on this one. Oh, I didn't apply it. Oh, I think all right, 125. What's the outside air temp? This is real temp, so it's only 26. It's not that hot out right now, but it could be spicy here. We'll see what the brake temps do. Man, I wish I could get the reversers to arm. Anyway, all right. Yoga's in chat. You want to see an RTO in action? I haven't done one of these in, well, geez, since the last time we ever did an RTO on stream, so it's been a while. What we're looking for here for standards, we want to maintain directional control, number 1, get the aircraft stopped, and then we go into our flight attendant stations and analyze and continue the situation. So, let's see if we can keep it on the runway. Spool them up 50. Yoga. Manflex SRS auto thrust is blue. Oh yeah, that sound pack. Thrust set. 100 knots, check. Recheck to have control. Flight attendant stations. What do we got? Engine 1 fire, engine 1 master push button off. Engine 1 master push button off. We're not going to run through that, so let's watch that back. Oh, hopefully replay will work. Please don't crash the sim. That was pretty good. So that was a fire. So the good thing about a fire, if you get this thrown at you on a CHECKRIDE, is you don't have a whole lot of asymmetric thrust because they're simulating basically the engine running away and burning up. So look at that. So you're still producing thrust here. You don't have an asymmetrical thrust situation. So it's much easier to keep on the center line. The next one we're going to do, we're actually going to fail the engine. You'll see what I'm talking about. Look at that EGT. She is a cook-in. All right, let's go ahead and play it. Let's say your tower view without any terminal buildings down there. Just watching Bourbon 357 accelerate. Oh, that's not good. Look at that nose wheel squat. Look at the anti-skid. Look at the puffs. That's anti-skid. That's anti-skid working. That is max braking. Man, that got stopped quick. That was pretty good. Let's back it up. Let's watch it one more time. Watch the airplane just completely squat with max brakes. That is aggressive, I'll tell you what. Jeez. Nice. Look at that. Stop, set the brake, analyze the situation, and we'll continue on. All right, so now, let me see. If I end replay mode, let's come over here. Look at those brakes. 530 and climbing already. And it wasn't, we're moderately loaded, 147,000 pounds, and it's 25C outside. These brakes are going to start cooking. That's why you wear your seatbelt, yes. All right, that was pretty neat. We'll let it continue to cook. We're going to go back here. We're going to go here. I love this. Is the best part. So where were we? Scroll down. RTO ready. We're going to load. Let the airplane do its thing here. Take a minute. Throttle hold. Yes. In an RTO, on a high-speed RTO like that, it doesn't. At that point, you don't know. You may not know which engine right away is on fire, but you get a master warning with red fire, and you know you're aborting. Don't waste time trying to figure out which reverser to put into reverse. Get the reversers out, stop the aircraft, fight the fire, right? The number one priority is stop the aircraft and then fight the fire. You don't want to start fiddling around with which engine, and then you can have other issues. So now we're going to do the same thing, but watch when I do a failure. So we're going to do, let's do the same engine. We'll do an engine 1 fail with damage, and we'll do it a little bit faster. So 146 is V1. Let's do it at like 130. All right. Now this, and I'll tell you what, let's make this worst case scenario. So let's say we lined up on the runway here, we're ready to go, and then Bourbon 357, be advised, wind shear alert, 10 knot gain, or 10 knot loss on the departure end reported by an A320. Okay, we've got a wind shear alert on the departure end. There's no other factors that would require us to abort the takeoff, but now we have a high risk factor, so we're going to do something to mitigate, and that's going to be doing a flex takeoff. So say, you know what, we're going to do a Toga takeoff on this one. All right, copy that, Cap. We'll do a Toga takeoff. You ready to go? We're ready to go. Let's give it a shot. So brakes released. We got flex speeds, that's okay. Toga's always available. We'll spool them up 50. We'll go Toga thrust. This is worst case scenario. Asymmetric thrust situation. Here we go. Yoga. Oh, listen to the difference in those engines. Man, Toga SRS runway auto thrust blue. Hey, do not stress set, 100 knots check. I was looking at the chat. Engine failure, reject. I have control. Reversers down to aircraft stop. Flight attendant stations. Engine 1 fail. So that one is more sneaky because we didn't get any alerts on the takeoff roll, and so depending on the actual failure, you may not get that ding right away. You might feel the asymmetric situation develop first, and it definitely started pulling left, and I was like, is that a wind gust or is that a engine failure? So let's go ahead and wind it back. We'll take a look at it. Oh no, don't crash. Engines are screaming now. I kind of want to time that flyby to when the failure happens. There it is. Rejecting. A little bit of an S-turn. Keep your eyes at the far end of the runway. Get the aircraft stopped. Not bad, not bad. I'm gonna rewind it. Where did you fail? Right about there. So I'm gonna do this view. I'm gonna zoom in on it now. Right about here. There's the failure. Reject. I have control. Speed brakes are up. We got no reverse on that left engine. That's actually going to help you a little bit because if the left engine dies, you're going to get a pull to the left. But when you get that right reverser open, it's actually going to help counteract that. Now look, the spoilers are coming down correctly because they weren't actually armed. So when the thrust levers come out of reverse, the spoilers will retract. As if I had them armed, it would have been a different story. So this actually worst case scenario. You forgot to arm your spoilers. The spoilers won't deploy until the engines are in reverse, or one engine is at least selected in the reverse if it's not armed. So pretty cool. All right, so that is done. We did 2 RTOs. Let's go ahead and exit replay mode, and let's go ahead and load in our situation again. So we're ready to go. We were that was the RTO ready. We'll load, get everything back to normal. In that case, the earlier in the roll, the harder due to rudder authority. Romulus. Yes and no. It's not a linear curve, I would say, because the lower speed you are, the easier it is to recover because you're not going as fast down a runway. But like you're saying, further on, you know, when you're going faster, you lose that. You're going to have the same asymmetric thrust, but your rudder's more effective, but also you have a tendency at that point to overcorrect. So I wouldn't say it's worst case to have it at a lower speed. I would much rather have a low speed abort than a high speed abort in all scenarios. But I see where your head's at. I think the practical application of that is that anybody would rather have an engine failure. I'd rather have it below 80 knots than 100 plus. Doesn't really matter what the rudder effectivity is on that one. Because if I'm going slow enough, even though the asymmetric thrust is going, I just step on the brakes. The airplane's not going to deviate that far. When you're doing 140 knots and you pop an engine, and most of the time you got to think about it, these engine failures are not just these nice calm ones. I hope it'd be cool if they can or invent an engine failure where it just like a catastrophic, where it's just like a boom, and it's an instantaneous loss of thrust, instantaneous. That would be pretty sweet. So that's in the sim when the check airman selects the severe damage and failure, as opposed to just engine failure. When they select severe damage, it becomes very wild in the sim. It is a very loud bang. It is very hard to control. There's a vibration that ensues, and it gets pretty gnarly. So, yeah. Does toliss have compressor stalls? I don't actually know. Let's look. Let's take a look here. Reverser pressurized, deployed hot start. failed to recover. No, I don't believe I see one there. That would be pretty neat, because yeah, compressor stall, goose style has another one. Compressor stalls are very difficult to control as well. Lateral direction of control is very difficult with compressor stalls, because not only do you have asymmetric thrust developing, but you've got asymmetric thrust, and then when it's unstalled, you have thrust again, and then it's unsymmetric. Then it's, yeah, it's just boom, boom, boom. That's that one is a very spicy one. We used to get that one in the RJ a lot. They used to give us that one in the Embraer 190 sim. That one was pretty wild too. Does toliss replicate a lab failure? Jeremy, good to see you, man. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. You could do a bird strike on X-Plane? All right, well, right now we're set up. Now we're going to do a normal takeoff. The cabin is ready. We got our lights on. Let's get back to it. We stayed safe, so I'm going to cross these off my list here. Done. All right, so we're going to take off. Let's do some maneuvering. Then we're going to do the RNAV visual. And then we're actually going to take we're going to do a couple practice engine fires airborne. And then we're going to get in the 319 and do the whole profile for real. So here we go. Spool them up. The brakes released. Spool them up 50. We'll do yogas from back here, shall we? Spool them up 50. Oh, yeah. Actually, you know what? Let's do yogas from outside. Yoga. Here we go. Man, Toga, SRS, runway, auto thrust, blue. All right, so now we're taking her airborne. We're going to actually go do some stuff. 80 knots, thrust set. 100 knots, check. V1, rotate. Positive rate, you're up. Nav it. Ooh, a little over rotation there, Captain. Screens in here so y'all can see them. I need to get a new chair, new desk chair. I'm missing my armrest on this one. That's pretty crucial. Lower the nose. Thrust, climb, auto thrust. We're just going to stay hand flying, get nice and familiar with it. Would you ever consider to continue takeoff short of V1 instead of aborting? It depends. It depends, Captain Meow. Depends on the type of failure. So any master warning, fire, or failure, you're probably going to abort. Now there are some things to take into consideration that you may not abort for that may trigger a master caution on the roll. Like a hot brakes, for example. There's SP, we'll go flap 0 up takeoff checklist. You get a hot brake on the takeoff roll. In that case, it's more than likely it's more dangerous to attempt an RTO than to just leave the gear down after rotation. So there are instances where that could come into a factor, yes. That's why every takeoff, it's not like we do in the sim, we line up yogas, looking outside view. No, every takeoff you gotta be in the game. Your head's gotta be in the game. You gotta have mentally briefed and gone through all the contingencies. A little bit different than Sim World. Yes, Lucas. 5 minutes and 10 minutes. Single engine or 2 engine. Single engine, 10 minutes. Alright, beautiful. AP1, auto thrust is on. Let's go ahead and come, actually, you know what? Let's come all the way around to 360. Alright, thrust climb, open climb, heading. We're almost at 10,000. We'll go ahead and select speed 250 knots. We'll kill the lights just in case there's some light noise, which I think there is. We're speed alt star 10,000 feet. Once we get stabled out, we're ready to go. Do you do V1 cuts IMC? Yes. So the one that you take airborne, it's at a 600 RVR takeoff. trying to find something here real quick while this is turning. Max windshield wiper speed, you guys remember? 230 knots. I'm trying to find a limitation here. Why is the one that I'm looking for always the last one that I find? Alright, a 320 Neo. Yes. Yes, alright, cool. It's the same one. 7.3 was right, 10 minutes? Oh no. David Isaac, just gonna get me in trouble, my man. I just can't. Jeremy says, why do we usually wait for trend arrow to go up before setting levers to climb? It's just good piloting technique, Jeremy. You never really want to be reducing power if you still have a negative trend in airspeed. If I'm in the takeoff phase, now there is an exception to this rule, Jeremy, such as a noise abatement departure procedure, but it is just general good piloting that if you are in a phase of flight which requires acceleration and altitude to be increasing, why would I reduce thrust if I have a negative trend when I am trying to accomplish the exact opposite, right? So, now remember, that's a technique. Everybody and their mother's got a technique to fly the Airbus. But some guys just bring it straight back to climb. Is it going to be totally fine with the airplane? Yeah, it's going to be totally fine. Nothing's wrong with it. The airplane will adjust pitch and it will continue to climb out even with a negative trend in the VSI. But I personally was showed and taught that what I just told you. If I'm trying to accomplish altitude gain and airspeed increase, why would I reduce thrust? Right? So just wait for that trend and then bring the thrust back. All right, we're actually IMC. This is good. This will keep our heads in the game here. We're going to go ahead and turn the autopilot off. We're going to do some steep turns. And this is, we're going to skip this, but I'm doing this just because we did the Phoenix the other day, and I kind of want to see X-Plane versus Microsoft again, right? So here we are, 360 on the heading. You guys know the fly-by-wire rules and all that. Let's go ahead and roll into the right because I'm more comfortable sitting in the left seat going to the right first because I'm like bringing the stick towards me instead of away from me. So into the right, all the way to 45 degrees of bank. A little more bank. Look at that pitch drop there. Got to compensate with some aft pressure. Very nice. Lock it in. Very nice. Oh, that feels good. We're locked in here a little bit high, correcting. Let's lower that nose, get that flight path vector into the brown a little bit more. All right, let's go ahead and correct. Bring that flight path vector up now. Very good. Right there, 10,000 feet. Lock it in. Lock it in. As we approach 180 degrees, we'll reverse, and as we reverse trend, remember, it's going to want to climb, so you got to compensate with some nose down. I'm starting to climb a little bit, correcting. All right, here comes 10 degrees prior. I'm going to get a little nose down in there. Get that nose down. Get that nose down. Ooh, that was pretty ugly. Come back around. Get that nose down. Get that nose down. There she goes. Get back down to 10,000. Into the left we go. It's actually good. I'm practicing these because these are pretty terrible. But there we go. We got our locked in now. Once you find it, lock it in. Lock it in. 10,000 feet, 45 degrees angle of the bank. Feels good. Feels good. It'd feel better if I had a better armrest. That's for sure, though. Here comes my heading bug. Same thing as before. Don't let it climb on me. I'm a little bit low, though, so I'm going to let it climb a little bit as I roll out. 360 and 99.80. I'm 20 feet off there. That's all right. That may be standard, but that may be completion standard, but pretty ugly either way. Cornelius Nimbus, thank you for the $12 donation, man. Appreciate you. Towards the desk chair. Incredibly appreciative of the knowledge sharing. Fucking awesomeness. Cornelius, I appreciate you, man. Yeah. I'm going to blame that one because I'm a pilot and we always have excuses. I'm going to blame that on the lack of armrest for my joystick here. So in my joystick video that I made a long time ago, I said it's very important that you have an armrest parallel with the base of your stick. And the reason for that is you want your arms supported, and all you want unsupported really is your wrist. You kind of want that free floating. That way it just makes it easier to control and do those fine movements, especially when you're doing these steep turns like this, right? So when I'm doing steep turns, my whole arm is unsupported, and it's kind of like wiggly. It's kind of like a noodle arm, right? You're kind of like, man, I wish I had something to support it. So if you do have an Airbus side stick setup, I highly recommend that you do have armrests on that chair, because it will make a difference. I promise you. It'll make a difference when you flare. It'll make a difference when you rotate. Having your arm free floating is just not awesome. I mean, if it was the way Airbus wanted you to do it, they wouldn't have put an armrest in the cockpit that had 4,200 different ways to adjust. So the real world armrest is actually quite advanced. The axes that you can adjust to get it set up just perfectly for you. But there we go. We're at 180, 10,000 feet. But thank you, Cornelius. I appreciate you. We're back level, and I'll show you real quick here. So, it's not on here. But I'm an F6 driver. I think that's where I like mine, F6. No wrist cock. There you go. Do you only do 180? No, we do 360. But actually, no, we do 180 one way and 180 the other way for a total of 360 degrees. That's what we do in the CHECKRIDE. Okay. Here we go. Let's do a... let's do normal. Let's just say we are hand flying. We just rotated. Powers at idle. Right? Powers at idle. For some reason, we're getting distracted, but the auto thrust is working. It's just off. We're on a little departure situation. We're just going to maintain about 5 degrees, 10 degrees nose up. Let's go 10 degrees here. Call it 1,000 feet per minute in the climb. We're going to recover at the first sign of a stall, all right? First sign of a stall. Yada, yada, yada. We're talking about the upcoming overnight. We're not paying attention. We're low-time 737 pilots that just transitioned to the Airbus. You're flying along here, can't wait to get to the overnight, see some chicks, and all of a sudden you get into V Alpha Prot, and you're like, wait a second, what's happening here? And you feel, oh, Alpha floor. Stall, I have control. Get that nose down. Now remember, we're going into Toga lock before. Keep that AOA coming down until you get out of VLS. We're out of VLS. Now we get a nice recovery. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the auto thrust now. And we'll recover the aircraft level about 10,200 feet there. All right? Cool. So that was an Alpha floor. That one, a lot of people, not a lot of people, but some folks, especially maybe simmers, you're unfamiliar with how the systems work here in the Airbus. Alpha floor is a angle of attack protection that will work even if the auto thrust is off. So if you notice in that demonstration, auto thrust was off, why did Alpha floor kick in? It doesn't matter. The only time Alpha floor will not work is if the auto thrust system is inactive, or if you're on a Neo and you're above, what is it, Gustavo? There's 5.4 Mach or something, 5.0 Mach. There's a 260. That's a limitation that I'll have to refresh my memory on. But the Neo, then it's inhibited for that. Now, Airbus is working on Smart Alpha floor protection, or Smart Alpha floor, an update for Smart Alpha floor. Basically means that once you are out of the Alpha floor scenario with that you triggered, if you lower that AOA, the Toga lock will no longer exist, and you don't have to worry about disconnecting and getting out of the whole scenario with the thrust levers. It will automatically go back to what it was in. All right, so that's kind of neat. So that was kind of an Alpha floor demonstration. All right, now let's do a regular. I tell you what, let's get toliss all fired up here. Let's go this, and then we're gonna go this. There we go. All right. Now we are in alternate law. Alternate law. So now we're actually going to stall the airplane. So now we're going to go ahead and do a stall demonstration. So we're going to bring the power back. We'll do a left degrees, 10 degrees pitch, and let's see if we can stall the airplane. Oh, hello. It's like my wife bringing delivery, bento box today. We're doing stalls. Yeah, we're doing stalls. All right, so now there's a stall. Stall, I have control. Flaps 1, lower the nose. Flaps 1. We're out of VLS. Let's go ahead and recover the airframe now, or aircraft pitch attitude. Positive trend. Flap 0, speed checks. Flap 0. SRS go around track. Cool. So there you go. There is your stall recovery there. That was our first sign of the stall. Beautiful. Now let's go ahead and bring the power back to idle. We'll go ahead and turn the flight directors off. We'll go gear down. This is going to put us into direct law now. What?
Stall, 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 stall.
Oh man, seriously, I was muted that whole time. Are y'all for real? Oh my gosh, that was perfect. That was a perfect demonstration of what I was talking about. Mic muted, my bad, y'all. Mic muted. All right, but there we go. We recovered. Let's go ahead and clean up the airplane completely now. Let's get everything cleaned up 100% of the time. Here, we're going to bring her back into normal law. Look, she's come right into normal law. Like that used to be a old situation with the toliss where it wouldn't go right how to recycle the facts. Rebuild automation from outside in. Live and die by the FMA. Thrust idle open descent heading. Speed 250 knots. We need to descend to 10,000. Autopilot 1 FD2. Flaps are up. Gear is up. And she's going to take a minute to restabilize her life, and then she's going to be good to go. So since I was muted on that one, I was kind of demonstrating we're going to fully stall the 320. You could have recovered at that first sign of a stall or at the stall warning, but I wanted to take that one into a full stall to go ahead and do a full recovery technique. Now you got to be careful on that full recovery technique in direct law because you have a direct relationship between your side stick and elevator control, and you saw there when I lowered the nose, we actually went a little bit too deep. We definitely floated some folks in the back on that one. So I got to be careful of that. When you do the direct law stall recovery, when you're lowering that nose, it is very sensitive. Until you get that gear up, you go back into alternate law, then it's much more manageable. So good thing we did it here at practice. That's what we're doing these things for. That's what we're practicing for. But that looks good. That was your stall. We're all cleaned up now, rebuilt the automation outside in, and now I think we are ready to set up for some RNAV visuals. And look at that, we're pretty much just outside of Penn. So let's go ahead and descend to 7th thou. We'll do an open descent, and I'll get to the questions and the donos there because I missed some stuff. So let me get everything set up here. Penn initial altitude is 6,000, so let's descend and maintain 6,000. Let's go direct to Penn, insert, and then we're going to go ahead and hold at Penn with a computed hold, and we'll do right turns, 1 minute legs, insert. Beautiful. Toliss doing real Airbus things. Don't even have to think twice about it. Look at that. Holding. Oh, that's the wrong inbound leg hold, but we'll be fine. We'll be good. We'll be fine. All right. Let me go back here in the chat. Danny Rubel, welcome back to Private Pilot. Thank you for joining the channel. Glad to have you on board, man. Appreciate you.
Missed the NZ tour, but I've come back to V1 intro music with God Save the King and an alleged swimming pool crash. Things sure change quickly, but the entertainment remains outstanding.
Havoc. Thank you for the $20 bank angle check. We sure have quite a lot of bank angle checks going on this flight here. We are getting the bank angles in for sure. Appreciate you, Havoc. Thank you for that $20 donation. That's very kind of you. Yes, we are. We didn't hit the pool, so you guys saw on that one. We deep stalled the airplane and we had a nice recovery. No issues with the pool. We didn't crash it. It was a very nice simulation there from the Airbus. Did everything that I would expect it to do. Also kept the speed tape was 100% accurate with the scenarios that we were the scenario that we put the airplane in. But thank you, Havoc. I appreciate you. And then there was also a membership chat from Dan Len. I take the 319 over a 320 any day. I'm with you, Dan. Appreciate that. Thanks for the support. And Anthony Di Gennaro, welcome to Private Pilot. Glad to have you on board. Hope you like this kind of content. It's going to be a fun one. We got more to come. So thank you for joining the channel. Exclamation point, welcome. All right. Do you try auto? No, I did not try auto ortho. Somebody had a good question, and I don't remember where it went now. Alpha prod and alpha floor. Alpha floor, Jeremy, is an auto thrust. As an auto thrust function, where alpha prot, alpha protection, is a protection for the airplane, if that makes sense. All right. So. Now we're going to set up for an RNAV visual approach here, and we might have to reload the approach. We're entering the hold. Let's go ahead and slow down to 210 knots. And we're going to do a hand flow and RNAV visual approach, and then we're going to start setting some fires on, and then we'll do a single engine scenario. All right. First things first, chart. We're over P-pen 6 at 210 knots. We got that RMP 0.5 required. All right, we're in the hold. We're turning down downwind here in the hold. Let's put in some environmentals. We'll go next phase. Altimeter was 3004. Temperature was 25. Winds are basically nil. 500 and 900 above field is what we're going to set for this approach. Because we're on a visual. So the field elevation, even though I know this isn't a visual approach, this chart here, but I'm practicing a visual. Touchdown is 20, we'll call it 2,200 feet. So at 2,200 feet, we will add 500 to that, which we'll call it 2,700 in the barrow. 2,700 in the barrow, that's 500 feet above touchdown zone for autopilot usage. We'll go ahead and extend flaps 1 as we're below VFE next. If Flex MTT is the same detent, why can't we use Flex to eternity? Well, you could, because Flex and MCT are max continuous thrust, but that's not how Airbus wants you to use it. As a matter of fact, there's been a hot topic of discussion amongst some airlines about using MCT for added climb performance when necessary, although we just had a recent memo saying that MCT use is not to just get extra climb performance. MCT is there in the event of single engine operations and other abnormal situations. Was thinking of situations where the alpha floor protection is lost. So when alpha floor is active and then you encountered an autopilot flight director TCAS, does that have priority? Hold on, let me think about this. Alpha floor protection is lost. Wait, what? So when alpha floor is active and then you encounter... Danny, this is, I think what you're getting at, that is why you turn the flight directors off during a TCAS, all right? Because if you have a TCAS that says climb, climb, and you have the flight directors on, all right, and you, actually, no. So you get a TCAS which says descend, descend. You pitch down with the flight directors on. You were in altitude hold, or maybe you were in open climb, whatever it may be. As you pitch down, the altitude is decreasing. The autopilot or the auto thrust is thinking we need more power to climb, so it now spools up while you're in a dive. That could then potentially put you into another TCAS, or that could put you into an overspeed situation, which would then pitch up the airplane and get into a very nasty scenario. Super complex, super rare, but that's why you turn the flight directors off to inhibit that. Now, what you're getting at about where alpha floor protection is lost and you encounter, does that have priority? If alpha floor protection is lost, that would mean that you have an inactive auto thrust system. So you would have to just have that in your mind when you react to a TCAS accordingly. Now, some of the newer buses are coming out with auto TCAS, which is, I think, just, we're getting a little bit crazy here. with some of the technology, but auto TCAS is for that's going to go into kind of the scenarios that you're trying to stir up. Some of these very rare, complex scenarios with an auto TCAS, it would help isolate putting the airplane into an undesired aircraft state because of automation confusion. Mo Aviator, welcome to Private Pilot. Glad to have you on. Glad to have you on board, man. Always a pleasure to have new members join the chat. Awesome. All right. Let's go ahead and do this RNAV visual. I'm going to go ahead and go flight plan. We're going to go immediate exit, and direct to pen, insert, perf, activate, confirm. LNAV, VNAV is our speed out nav. Now we should. Oh, I went direct. I need to go direct to the second pen. No, we're already at pen. Let's clear the holdout. There we go. I want to turn left. There we go. All right, good. I think it would have done it anyway, but I did it. I forced the airplane to do what I wanted it to do. At least draw what I wanted it to draw. So now we're set up. We're going to join the RNAV approach, 210 knots. We can arm it here. We're app nav. We're already at 210. We've activated and confirmed. We got our bricks and our sticks. You can see the stick over here on the ND. We got our bricks. We're looking good. Well, we did one engine fire, but we did an RTO. We're getting into the single engine stuff after this. We're gonna hand fly this approach here. We're gonna do a hand flown approach right now. So we're gonna hand fly this RNAV approach with the flight directors on. So we're kind of simulating the RNAV visual approach procedure that I have in my lab. I think we've confused her. There we go. There's our blue descent arrow. All right, it's all coming together now. There we go. We confused her. That was on me. We did a lot of things there that really confused the airplane. All right, we're speed final lap now. We need to get on. We need to get on path. So biggest speed brake on the airplane is your gear. We're going to do manual thrust on this approach. Man, slick. Very slick. VFE next, minus 10 flaps. Yeah.
2,500.
Flaps 3. Flaps full, landing checklist. And then we run through the cabin, we run through the landing checklist. Let's see if we can actually get stable here. We were high.
2,000.
VAP plus 20. We're trending down though, so technically we are stable. We're looking good. I've been at idle the whole time, guys. Isn't that crazy? Good drag model here on the 320 Neo for sure. Now she's coming down. Quartering tailwind, perfect for the simulation. Let's go ahead and get our thrust in there. Spool them up about 50% initially. That'll get you in the ballpark here. Then we can fine tune from there. Stable, clear to land. Quartering tailwind is going to push us to the right of center line. I have the runway in sight. Flight director's off. Give me the bird. Bird's in chat.
Minimum.
Land the airplane now.
$500.
Target sync 7 on speed.
400. 300.
Sitting right about 55% N1. That's pretty good. That's pretty accurate.
200. 100.
5 knot tailwind.
50. 40. 30. 20. Retard. Retard 10. 5.
Not too shabby. We'll just keep her straight on the runway here since we're going to watch that landing replay, and then we're going to do some more single engine stuff. 70 knots. We'll take that. Let's see how that looked. We'll go right into replay. Don't crash the sim. Very good. Reverse we go. Ah! God, I love the scenery. Clouds look good, though. We're not going to get much. There you go. A little extra on the flare there. A little extra. I was concerned of that tailwind. We're still down. Touchdown zone ends a little bit past that taxiway, so we wasn't too bad. Little extra float there, little extra speed. That tailwind. So that tailwind is actually gonna cause you to settle. So I was a little bit too aggressive on the pitch there, but overall, it's a stable landing. We're in the touchdown zone, and I'll take that. You see that? I was like, that tailwind, but maybe it wasn't necessarily required there. Just kind of let her settle. Don't climb. Just let her settle. Put her down. Beautiful. All right. Config 3 single engine approach. Go around minimums for COT 2 single engine. What do you think, Gustavo? That's coming up. That's coming up. So now let's go ahead. I got to let this play out here. We'll let it play out to the end, and then I have a state save. So now we're going to start doing some more single engine stuff. We did all our normals, our non-normals, and all right, there we go. So now we're going to untoggle you. I'm going to go untoggle replay. I'm going to stop the airplane. Brakes are set. Flaps position 1. And this is why, if you are training on the Airbus, this is why toliss makes it really hard to have any other airplane. Here we go. We're going to go Las Vegas Neo EO SID 1. Load. Boom shakalaka. Just like that. All right. Let me brief what we're going to go over here. Let me take a sip of water. So here we are. We're loaded up. We got a departure procedure. We're pretty much right at max landing weight. It's 27 degrees outside. And we'll get our PWS and auto. We'll do all that stuff. We'll put you in TARA. Everything else looks good. Flaps position 1. Now in the box, just like real world, I have already loaded and saved an EO SID. Now one thing to note about the EO SID here in the secondary is I still would, even though I'd like to fly it and manage nav, for some reason, what we got going on there? It just seems to work out better with selecting heading and doing it manually. So the manual right turn is at 3 miles from Las Vegas, so let's hard tune that as well. It's one thing I forgot to state save. Boom, Las Vegas. And there's our distance in DME. So we're going to take off. We're going to deal with an engine fire failure. We're going to do the procedure just to get comfortable with it, and then we're going to do it for real with weather and in a 319. So this is just to get familiar with the procedure. Let me pull up my EOSID. Oh good, my app just crashed again. Complex special. 2.9 lot, a right turn. All right, brakes released. No, you have to input the failure, right? Oh no, fail with damage. And we're also gonna do engine 2 fire. But we're gonna do it at a little bit after that. Perfect. All right. Well, let's roll. Man flex, SRS nav, auto thrust blue. SRS runway, actually. Hidden knots, thrust set, neutral by 100, check. V1. Rotate. Engine failure. Positive rate. Gear up. Engine 2 fire. Select heading. Activate secondary. And then in the real airplane we would manage nav here. But we're going to keep it in heading mode. At 400 feet, ECAM actions. And meanwhile, we're gonna have to do that over again. Oh, that was terrible. That was just we effed that up. We effed that up. We effed that one up. That was all wrong. Look, you can still see our smoke out there. Yeah, we effed that one up. I'll tell you what. Let's get the procedure right first. How about we do that? Procedure first. Spool them up 50. Let's go. Manflex SRS SRS runway auto thrust. $80 knots, thrust set. 100 knots, check. V1. Rotate. Engine failure. Positive rate. Gear up.
Too low. Terrain.
12.5 degree pitch target. There we go. Now we're getting that
Too
trim
low.
in there.
Terrain.
Amazing when you trim things out, isn't it? Amazing when you trim things out.
Too low. Terrain.
Select heading. Activate secondary.
Too low. Terrain. Too low. Terrain.
For thrust, I'm going to go Toga.
Too low. Terrain.
400 feet, ECAM actions. We can actually go autopilot 1.
Too low. Terrain.
I don't know why that's going on. I think we tripped it out with the gear up there. Well, come on, autopilot. You can trim her out too. All right. Engine 2 fail. Engine start selector ignition. Thrust lever 2 idle. Confirm thrust lever 2. Confirm. Idle. Also get ready for a turn here on right now. We'll go ahead and turn it. Right turn heading 035. So now I'm doing like multiple people's different jobs. All right. If no relight after 30 seconds, engine 2 master off. 3,200 feet. Vertical speed 0. Confirm engine 2 master. Confirm. Off. If damage, we take a look at our engine here. Well, actually, It doesn't look all that damaged. We could consider a relight. We'll clear engine 2 fail. I'm gonna fly the airplane here. We're gonna see. I want this to do. I want to get into this. We're gonna say we're gonna shut it down. In balance monitor, TCAS mode, select TA only. Even this particular scenario, we could technically consider restarting it. Engine 2 shut down. Clear engine 2 shut down. Clear engine 2 shut down. All right, that leaves us at the briefing here. Hydraulics. PTU has picked up the load. We lost yellow. Clear hydraulic. Electrical. We have one generator. You want to start the APU? I do. Let's go ahead and share the load. Start the APU. All right. APU is starting. Roll off landing. Stop ECAM. Flap 0. Speed checks. Flap 0. Continue ECAM. All right. Clear electrical. Bleed. We got one bleed operating. Jet, clear bleed. Clear bleed. Status. Stop status. Stop ECAM. Green dot. I'll go ahead and pull for open. I'm going to set 5,000. Now, don't mind the stratosphere there. We were off on. I don't actually know. I don't think that would be there. All right. We are going to go MCT thrust. Thrust MCT. Open climb. Auto thrust. All right. Continue status. Had an engine 2 fail, yada yada yada. We'll go through the book and do our after stuff. We're going to do that later. But okay, so that was pretty decent. That one was pretty decent there. That was pretty good. Let's go ahead and do one more. Reload it. Get everything back. Radnav, Las Vegas is hard tune. Everything looks good. Flight control flap, disagree. We'll put you there. And then I'm going to add on the fault, we're going to add a fire with this one. We're going to add engine 2 fire as well, just to add to the stressors. Right about there. Alright, that is set. One more time. And then we're going to do it for real. Takeoff config checked. Brakes are released. Spool them up 50. Let's go. Oh, you know what? Oh, no, we'll do the low vis RTO coming up. Coming up, Gustavo. Coming up. Manflex SRS runway. Auto thrust is blue. I gotta remember that trim. I've changed my personal habit, and it kind of got me there. What is it, raining now? Look at this rain coming in. What is happening? V1. What just happened? Rotate. Engine failure. 12.5 degree pitch target. Positive rate. Gear up.
Terrain. Too low. Terrain. Too low. Terrain.
Oh, it keeps going over there.
Too low. Terrain. Too low. Terrain.
Right. Autopilot 1. Engine 2 fail.
Too low. Terrain.
Engine start. Engine start selector. Ignition.
Too low. Terrain.
Thrust lever 2, confirm. Thrust lever 2, idle. Gonna select Toga. If no relight after 30 seconds, engine 2 master off. Alright, confirm engine 2 master. Confirm. Engine 2 master is off.
Please
3,200 feet. Vertical speed 0.
Area 51. We can all hop on a reliable Boeing Janet flight back into
C2A.
town.
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for the $5 bank angle check. Yes, I think with Janet would be completely reliable. I think we'd be totally fine, wouldn't we? Thank you, C2A. Appreciate you. All right, we missed our turn, heading 035. I guess we didn't have a fire on that one. I thought it was going to catch fire. Engine 2 fire, push button, push. Discharge after 3 seconds. We'll get that here in just a second here. Remember our Toga limitation. H1 discharge, pop U. Stop ECAM, flap 0, speed checks, flap 0. Continue ECAM, if engine relay consider, no, it's definitely broken. Clear engine 2 fail, engine 2 shutdown, balance monitor, TCAS mode, select TA only. That's TA, alright, but whatever. Let's go ahead, there's green dot, we're going to go ahead and thrust climb, open climb. We have lever MCT, but let's just hang on. We got a nice positive trend. We'll go ahead and bring her back. We got to protect this good engine. We're thrust MCT, open climb, auto thrust. And we will continue. All right, I think we're ready, chat. I think we are ready to do it for real now. So let's go ahead and what am I going to do here? We're going to go flight configuration. I'm going to bring everything back. Now we're set up. We're going to be set up low vis in Seattle for real in an A319. So let's do it. That's the one, and we're going here. And 16 center, confirm, and we'll do customize, manual, and IFR precision approach mins. Start. All right. Who's ready for this for real? I'm hungry. What time is it? 2:20. What time is our Phoenix stream? Our Phoenix stream is at 4:30. That's 2 hours from now. Should be plenty of time. Plenty of time. So when you do a check ride in the sim, do the instructors just throw issues and not tell you? Not really, but kind of. It's hard to explain. I was going to ask, how come you don't trim your rudder right away when the engine failed? So what happened is I used to have a muscle memory of, V1, hand would come down here to the rudder trim. Then I started to think, after I was talking to some colleagues of mine about, I don't do that because I don't want to blindly just be putting my hand on switches and then moving them thinking they are the rudder trim. Like, what if you move this one or the parking? It's unlikely, but in the event of a real engine failure at V1, you're probably going to be a little bit rattled mentally. So by just coming and blindly grabbing something, I just didn't think was good practice. So I eliminated that from my own technique. I started going V1, and then I would put my hand on my thigh. So now, if there's an engine failure, I have to get used to bringing it back over and visually identifying, okay, rudder trim, grab it, just a quick peek down there and grab the rudder trim. So that first one we did no rudder trim. That's why it was a little wonky. That's why I said we just abort and redo it. So here we go. We got the Seattle 16 center, no fault. We're going to do it our own, and we're going to load you up right now. God, I love the toliss. Look at that. Boom. Peter McNamara's, welcome to Commercial Pilot. Glad to have you on board. Exclamation point, welcome for your new perks here on the V1 channel. Always love seeing the new members join in. You guys are awesome. Thank you for the support. And I thought we were moving, but that was really trippy. It was just the rain on the windshield. All right, so let's go ahead and before we get out of here, let's set our top altitude to 5,000 feet. Turn you off for a second. And that all looks good. We'll go down here. Flight plan. We have the ILS 16 center loaded up, which is what we're going to do. But before we do that, we're going to do low-vis RTO first. So first up is a low-vis RTO. Our perf takeoff V1 is 138, so let's load in a fault now for, let's do, we've been failing. We've been failing engine 2. Let's do engine 1. Fail with damage at IAS of 128. We'll do a 10 prior, and we'll also add a new fault, make it extra spicy. We'll add a engine 1 fire at 128 as well. Alright, so those are set. This is low vis RTO. Matter of fact, let's make it a little bit lower for the RTO here. Visibility RVR is going to be 600. This is going to smoke the CPU, I bet. Oh yeah, that's the spicy meatball. Chris Stuper, welcome. Good to have you on board. Isn't there a rule that don't allow compound failures to cause a check ride failure? I think so, Gustavo, something like that. But I'm completely honest. Our airline has switched over to a whole new basic training, or a whole new set of training standards that we used to be on. So our whole training has been revamped, and this is my first time going through this whole new cycle thing. So it's I don't know the ins and outs of it, but it's much more based scenario based, and it's much more quality of training as opposed to quality of repetition, if that makes sense. So like before, you used to go into your check ride, you knew exactly what you were going to get, and boom, you just flew up and did that. Now it's a little bit more like these airports. We're flying out of Seattle, Las Vegas. It used to always be Seattle, Las Vegas, Burbank. Those were the airports, but now it doesn't have to be. It could literally be anywhere in the system. But I'm just still using these airports because these airports they accomplish more objectives than one. Like Las Vegas, you get high density altitude and high terrain, and issues with single engine stuff, and you have an RNAV visual approach into there. Seattle, if you're doing Cat 3 stuff, if you do a survey across the country, more often than not, it's probably going to be Pacific Northwest has the most amount of low vis stuff going on. So that's why we're here. But thank you, Peter. Glad you liked the content. We're going to get into it now. Let's go ahead and do an RTO at 600 RVR. This is where it starts to get spicy. I'm going to leave the sim. That looks dead ass real. I'm going to keep my wiper off. I don't like wipers on during the takeoff roll. Spool them up 50. We get the parking brake off. Yeah, Gustavo, yeah. Seattle typically was always low vis, icy, all that stuff. All right, here we go. We'll do worst case scenario too. We're doing Toga SRS. Auto thrust blue. Oh boy. Is the runway turned? Look at our attitude indicator. Yeah, I think we're on a slope. 80 knots. Thrust set. 100 knots, check. Engine failure. Reject, I have control. Oh, baby. That's a little bit spicy. Engine 1 fire. Engine 1 master, off. Engine fire push button 1, push. Engine 1 fire push button. Oh, we did it wrong. We didn't do flight attendant stations. That one was a bit spicy. That was a bit spicy. Let's watch the replay, and then we're going to do it again because that sucked. At night would be less spicy, I know, because it would be, you would see the lights better. I want to make it worst case scenario. Alright, let's go from here. There's our fire. Reject. Starting to skid a little bit. All right, hey, I mean, that was safe. It was a little bit ugly, but hey, we were safe. We stopped around the center line. That was good. I mean, it wasn't good, but let's do it again. It would have been satisfactory, but let's do it again. Let's go back. Let's go right back into our state. Load. Let's try it again. Would, in real life, knowing that it is a long runway, be cautious with the brakes? Danny Rubel, no. So you actually want to be very careful of this because this is a great question for the exact scenario that we're sitting in. So you want to be careful that you do not disengage the auto brakes for multiple reasons. Number one, Auto Brakes Max is going to give you the maximum braking, and it's going to be the maximum symmetrical braking. If you lose an engine, you are going to be, I know you can't see my feet, I can't see me on the rudders, but I'm doing a little bit of dancing. Like, not going to lie, you start doing, and in the sim, it's like, if they do a severe damage, it's like, boom, it's like you really kick that in there. So to use manual brakes and be doing this with your feet, it's going to be more difficult to maintain a symmetrical braking, making it your distance to stop longer. So, number one, heels on the floor, all right? Heels on the floor, keep your toes off the brakes. That's what I do in all takeoffs in real life. Heels on the floor because I don't want to inadvertently disconnect the auto brakes by using manual brakes. Number two reason to keep the auto brakes on, especially in this situation right here, is for hydroplaning. So we have a lot of standing water on the runway. It's much better to have the auto brakes take over all of that with anti-skid and all that stuff. Is going to be a better scenario for you. So it doesn't really matter what the runway length is. Just what you could throw in there is like, okay, once I'm slowed to like 100 knots maybe, then I could disengage the auto brakes because maybe I don't want to blow all my tires. You could, prevent secondary fires and stuff like that. But that is more down the line. I think if you really are aborting for a fire or a severe damage and high speed in the rain, just get the airplane stopped, all right? Worry about the tires blowing later. It doesn't matter. Just get the airplane stopped and keep it on the center line. So, but that's a good question that you brought up. So there's a couple reasons we want to keep those on, all right? All right, so let's do one more of those. We're going to do add new fault, and we're going to do it. I'm going to do engine one. Actually, let's do engine two this time. Let's do engine two. Let's do a fail with damage, but I'm not going to do a fire with this one because I want it to be kind of a sneaky one. We'll do it at IAS, and we'll do it at 128 knots, 10 below, and we'll apply that. So without the fire alarm going off, it's a little more sneaky. You got to identify that. My eyes have to come down here, and I know you can't see it, but my eyes have to come down here and acknowledge that there is a failure. And the pilot monitoring will probably say engine failure. All right? Let's try it again. Brakes are off. Feet on the floor. Spool them up 50. 600 RVR RTO. Let's go. Toga SRS. Auto thrust blue. $80 knots. Thrust set, 100 knots, check. Engine failure. Eject, I have control. Ah! I think that's X-Plane right there. That's X-Plane. Got a little bonky on me. Yeah, it started doing an oscillating thing there. I think they're just X-Plane physics. But hey, we're back on the center line. Good to go. All right. I'm comfortable with those. I'm good with those. It's harder to do those in X-Plane than the real thing, that's for sure. So we did two. We're safe. We got a little wonky, but it's all good. Let's do the real engine failure now. Take it airborne. Let's change our weather to Cat 1 because we're going to come in. We do a Cat 1, so we're going to do a IFR precision and done. It's going to come up a little bit. There we go. Peter, no, it doesn't require side stick into the wind. No, it does not. At least not really a technique. Now, if it's a severe crosswind, you might cheat a little bit to the left or right, but it's not really a technique. All right, 2902, we're ready to go. We're set up. just so you guys know what I'm going to be doing here, our secondary, we do have a simple special, which is the Seattle 161 radial outbound. So that is in our secondary flight plan for an engine out. All right, we got 10,000 is set. Everything is ready. Screens are ready. Plug in the failure. We're going to take it airborne, do the full procedure, and do a hand flow and ILS single engine. And that's going to be the end of that. So new fault. Let's fire engine 1. Failure with damage. At IS, right at V1. V1 is 138. 138. Done. All right. This is the doozy one. Here we go. Spool them up 50. Let's get out of here. Man Flex, SRS, Auto Thrust Blue. I think this runway is also making it a little bit more difficult. Completely canted to one side. V1. Engine failure. Rotate. Positive rate. Gear up. 12.5 degrees. Select heading. Activate secondary. Manage nav. Autopilot 1. It's gonna see that's a cynism. Let's go ahead and just do that. Don't turn on me. Alright, now to minimize that asymmetrical thrust, we're gonna just keep her going. In flex right now. Things are calm, we're doing our thing. I'll pop this up so you can watch me go along here. Approaching 1,000 feet. I've actually be Seattle Tower, Bourbon 357 engine failure. We're proceeding outbound on the Seattle 161 radial. Bourbon 357 roger, advise attentions. We'd like to come back around to 16 center. Just give us a little bit of time. Copy that. When able, copy maintain 5,000. 5,000 for Bourbon 357. All right, there's acceleration altitude, vertical speed 0. ECAM actions, engine 1 fail. Engine start selector, ignition. Thrust lever 1, idle. Confirm thrust lever 1, confirmed. Idle. If no relight after 30 seconds, engine 1 master off. We'll let it continue out. So now we're accelerating. I'm going to help my acceleration by going into Toga thrust here. Should be maintaining vertical speed 0 there, a little bit of a climb. Alright, there's 30 seconds. Engine 1 master off. Off. Oh, it was already off. Off. Stop ECAM. Flap 0. Speed checks. Flap 0. Continue ECAM. Continue ECAM. Alright, here we go. We're going to go select speed, open climb. Thrust MCT. Bourbon 357, turn right, heading 27, make it 295. 295, Bourbon 357. Alright, we're going to continue climbing up to 5,000. Continue the ECAM, engine 1 master. Off. If damaged, we look down at our second ECAM, we're going to assume that it's damaged, vibration or whatever it may be. So we'll go ahead and continue with the if damaged. Engine 1 fire push button, confirm. Confirm. Engine 1 fire push button, pushed. Bourbon 357, I'm going to maintain 4,000 to climb. 4,000, Bourbon 357. Alright, Agent 1 discharge. Agent 1, discharge. If no relight, or if no damage, does not apply. Engine 1 relight, consider, does not apply. Clear engine 1, clear engine 1. Engine 1 shutdown. Imbalance monitor, we'll monitor our ECAM here for a fuel imbalance. Should one arise, or maybe we're leaking fuel. You could get the crossplate open too if you were Johnny on the spot with it. Alright, TCAS mode select, TA only, that's so we don't apply with any RAs with single engine. And cross bleed is shut because we popped the bottle. Alright, clear engine 1, clear engine 1. Bourbon 357. Continue right turn, fly heading 320, advise approach request. Bourbon 357, roger 320 on the heading. We'd like to set up for the ILS 16 center into Seattle. Bourbon 357, roger that. You can expect the ILS 16 center. Do you need the weather? Nope, we have the weather. We're sitting right at Cat 1 minutes. Copy that. Bourbon 357. Alright, speed out star. We'll go ahead and accelerate now. We'll go up about 220 knots. Alright, continue with our ECAM here. Hydraulics. We have a single hydraulic, or green is lost, yellow is picked up, PTO is picked up below, clear hydraulics. Electrical, we're down to 1 generator. Let's go ahead and start the APU. Alright, APU is spooling, clear electric, clear electric. Bleed pressure, we got single engine bleed. Do we need engine anti-ice? We don't need. Anti-ice is not required. It's 14 degrees. Clear bleed. Clear bleed. Status. Stop status. Let's do an after takeoff checklist. After takeoff checklist. After takeoff checklist complete. All right. Continue status. All right. I'm going to go. We're going to actually, before we go to the book, we have in-op systems, wing anti-ice, Cat 3 dual, engine 1 bleed, pack 1, gen 1, green engine 1 pump. Clear status. Clear status. All right. APU is spooling. I'm going to the comm. Now, while the FO goes to the comm, or the non-flying flag goes to the comm to do their stuff, we're also setting up for the approach right back into Seattle. So altimeter is 29 or 9 or 2. Temperature was about 24 degrees. Winds are calm. And the minimum for 16 center is, we're going to go back. We're going to go here. SCA. ILS 16 center. Standard ILS 16 center. Alright, we're going to take it from Anvil. Anvil is at 3200, that's fine. DA for us is 630. Let's go ahead and put 630 in the MDA. 630 set, we got our LS push buttons on, and we want to consider a flaps 3 landing. Current landing weight, we're about 10,000. Actually, we're just under max landing weight. We could do flaps 3, but there's no wind shear or anything like that. Let's go ahead and do flaps full landing. Okay, flaps full landing. We will do that. And that's all set there. We'll do auto brake low for asymmetrical braking upon touchdown. And let's go ahead and activate and confirm the approach phase. We're already in selected speed, so at this point we're pretty much ready for the approach. I want to run into the book real quick here, see if I can just kind of go through this here. Engine fail, it's engine 1. This thing is so... Someone is going to have a serious issue with this stupid book that we got now, man. This is ridiculous. Alright, engine 1 fail, applicable through 319, i.e. V2500s, tail numbers, yada yada. Alright, land ASAP, which we're doing. We're on vectors for the approach. Thrust levers, idle, engine master, off. If damage, engine fire push button, we pushed. Agent 1 discharge, we pushed. If no damage, does not apply. Associated procedures do not apply to that. Engine 1 fail continued. In-flight engine mode selector ignition, it is. So According to during initial climb for certain tail numbers, landing gear up, thrust lever affected, engine idle. In case of Egypt with alerts, reduce speed with care below VLS with flaps extended at light weights. VMCA may be reached before Alpha Max when applying the Egypt with procedure. Interesting. That's just a note there. If no relight after 30 seconds, with does not apply. We already did that. Associated procedures: engine 1 shutdown. If no damage, does not apply. Alright, so now we got to go to the engine 1 shutdown checklist. So the engine 1 fail is complete, so now we got to do engine 1. And Bourbon 357, you ready to accept an approach clearance? Not yet. Alright, copy, just advise ready. You're on downwind for 367. Alright, engine 1 shutdown. I just got to get used to finding the stuff in the book. Engine 1 shutdown, same applicable tail numbers, 319 IEV 2500 motors. Land ASAP. If wing anti-ice on, does not apply. If not, electric emergency, that does not apply. Engine 1 shutdown continued. Engine mode selector, it's in ignition. Landing gear is up. If no fuel imbalance, monitor. We are monitoring that. TCAS mode select, TA only. If reverser unlocked, does not apply. Engine fire. If engine fire push button pushed, it does apply. Cross bleed shut. Wing anti-ice is off, and avoid icing conditions. Secondary failures continuing. Severe icing accretion, we have to do that, does not apply. Approach procedure, if reverser deployed, does not apply. So the only difference, we're continuing on, does not apply, does not apply. There's something in here I'm trying to get to. If wing anti-ice off and engine 1 not pressed, that does not apply. For 321, does not apply. If no engine 1 damage, does not apply. Jeez. Finally, the last page of the procedure. If available, the APU may be started and the APU generator used. If the engine 1 fire push button is pushed, APU bleed must not be used. All right, so that's why I didn't want to put that bleed on there, because you can blow halon into the cabin. APU bleed must not be used. If the engine 2 fire push button switch is pushed, APU bleed may be used. All right, after landing, the fuel use value on one engine shutdown becomes incorrect. All right, cool. Approach Bourbon 357. We're ready to accept that clearance now. Bourbon 357, roger. Fly heading 050. You can expect a brief flight through the localizer. 050 on the heading, Bourbon 357. Speed your discretion. 180 knots. We're VFE next, minus 10. Flaps 1. All right. There's our there's Anvil out there. We're looking good. All right, flaps, clear status, clear status. Well, actually, we'll take it all the way into, we'll just go direct Soto, right? Soto's at 1900. Bourbon 357, descend and maintain 3000. Descend and maintain 3000. VFE next, minus 10, flaps 2. Now we got to be careful what we're getting configured here. I don't want to go anything more than flaps 2 right now. We got one engine out. Don't configure too early here. You don't want to configure late either, though. Bourbon 357, turn right, heading 130. Maintain 3 tel established, cleared ILS from my 16 center approach. 130 on the heading, 3 tel established, cleared ILS, 16 center approach, Bourbon 357. All right, let's see, glide slow blue, low blue, cat 3 single, autopilot 1+2. We're on a heading, that was kind of a bad vector. Let's make it 120. 120 on the heading. Coming down. Now we got to notify. Who else we got to notify? We got to talk to flight attendants. We got to talk to dispatch. Got to talk to anybody else if we need to. Lead flight attendant, probably a good idea. Make a PA. Let them know what type of emergency. Had an engine failure. We need to go back to Seattle. We're going to be on ground here in less than 5 minutes. I don't anticipate using the brace command, and I don't have any special procedures for you. All right? She's been briefed. Everybody's been briefed. FO, you good? We're good. Let's go ahead and put this puppy on the ground. We're on a modified base, and we'll hand fly it, Anvil inbound. I really hope we see the bottom. If you don't mind me asking, have you ever had to do a high-speed RTO? Yes, I have. They're violent. But my buddy did one in Vegas, like 10, not even, like maybe 5 knots prior to V1. and he told me their headsets came off. That's how violent it was. Mine wasn't that high speed. The highest speed one I had was in an Embraer 190 out of Halifax, Nova Scotia. That one was also very violent. I know, Billy, I do like the enlarged displays. Do you center rudder trim when the autopilot is engaged? No, not when the autopilot is engaged. In fact, when the autopilot is engaged, this does nothing. 310 Flyer does nothing. But that's why you trim it before handing it to the autopilot. Less work for the autopilot to do, and then when you turn the autopilot off, you have a nice trimmed airplane for you. But remember, that trim is going to vary with the thrust and the asymmetric thrust, so you got to kind of be on it. Now, there's techniques for resetting trim to 0 in the flare. Personally, I don't do that. I just counteract the asymmetrical thrust reduction, and then you're going to need opposite rudder. Simulated bird strike. Yeah. I got my bento box sitting over there. Gotta put this puppy on the ground, take a break. Then we gotta get into that Phoenix V2. We gotta see what the updates are. I have this plan for Jetstar down under. Would Jetstar go Sydney to Melbourne? I think they would. It's a sick livery. I love that silver Jetstar has. Star. Dual engine and brake failure. What is your loss of normal braking memory item? Reverse thrust maximum, brake pedals release, anti-skid nose with steering switch off, brake pedals apply, 1000 psi minimum or maximum. If that doesn't work, 7 successive applications, approximately, short successive applications of parking brake. Thanks for the reminder. Alright, glide slope is alive. Now technically, glide slope star, going on out to 3000 is blue. Alright, we're getting a little wonky here. Let's see how, look at that wind. The wind is messing up the airplane here. I'm gonna let the thrust come out. Now in the sim, you can actually have the autopilot on until SODO. I'm going to turn it off early. We're going to start configuring right about now. So I'm going to do this early so I get more practice. Autopilot off. Cat 1. We're hand flown.
2,500.
We also want to make sure we configure in time. So let's go gear down now. So I actually have a little too much rudder trim in there. That's because we're at idle thrust. Oh, this wind condition is really... Like, I'm not even moving the stick, and it's just, like, rolling. That's not accurate. Hold on. This is going to mess everything up. That's not... Something with the winds here. Where's the winds? Thermals. Runway. How does one... Tops, bases... Thermals, none. Really? There's no wind? Change the cloud to stratus. Okay. Alright, thanks, Gustavo. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, there we go. That's much better. See that? Like, I don't know what the winds are doing something funky. Alright, let's go flaps. Full landing checklist. Oh, yeah, now we're flying. Alright, landing checklist, cabin crew advised, auto thrust, speed, auto brakes are low, ECAM memo. We got cabin blue and spoilers arm, that's per X-Plane 12. Landing checklist complete. Look, as that thrust comes in there, more right rudder. That is so accurate. It's so accurate, it's stupid. that thrust comes off, take a little rudder pressure out. So listening to the engine is actually good technique here. We got to correct here for our localizer. A little bit right of center line correcting.
1,000.
Stable, clear to land. And we're locked in.
$500.
I got a strange feeling that we're not going to see the runway.
100 above. $300. Minimum.
Approach lights. Oh my gosh. Continue. Runway.
200.
Holy. Landing.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. Retard. 10. 5.
Oh my gosh, that was so close to how the real sim is going to be when you break out at minimums. It's approach lights, continue. That's the rare one there. Pucker factor. We're an emergency aircraft. We're going to let it roll all the way down here. Get that auto thrust in there. Now we'll go manual brakes. Close enough. Set the brakes. Flight attendant stations. Alright, fire marshals come on. Everything looks good. Captain ready to go. Yep. Remain seated, remain seated, remain seated. That was wild. We literally saw the rabbit, or I literally saw the rabbit at minimums. Like, I heard minimums, and I looked up, and I'm like, oh my god, there it is. That's exactly what they do in the sim, too. And if you get one of those overzealous FOs that here's minimums, go around. Like, really? Like, calm down. Calm down. Wait, it'll come. It'll come. It's a sim. It'll pop up. Just wait. I had an FO do that to me one time in one of my recurrence. I'm like, really, bro? Look at this. That is real life, dude. I feel, yeah, Gustavo, I feel like I just did my actual, look at that. That is minimums right there. That's the lights. So I'm coming in, just keeping that, I'm kept that crab in there. Power to idle, decrab it. You're going to get that, you have to do opposite rudder there when you bring the power out, right? Down, that's perfect. Right on the touchdown zone, no floating, just, I don't care if it's hard. As long as we don't put the struts through the wings, Alaska, we should be good to go. Right on the money, right on center line. Got a little wonky after center line. But that decrab was pretty crazy with the rudder. So because you have right rudder, you bring power to idle, you're gonna, that asymmetrical thrust goes off. You have all that right rudder trim, so you actually need to go the other direction. That's awesome. All right. I need to eat lunch. Y'all, make sure you smash down that like button if you like this kind of stuff. Because I know these aren't our typical streams, that's for sure. But I hope you enjoyed this one. I feel a little bit better. We knocked the rust off. We successfully knocked the rust off on this one. So we're going to put it all together here at the end of the week. But don't go anywhere. Another about an hour from now, we're going to see what the Phoenix V2 has. I think I would say that I'd be pretty confident in comparing both flight models now, since we just spent 3 hours in pretty much every state of this aircraft can handle. But shout out to Toliss, man. This airplane, that's why I train in this airplane right here. State saving, being able to zap back and forth makes it super quick, pretty awesome. Thank you all for tuning in. I need to get some lunch. I'll see you all in about an hour. Stay safe, stay healthy, get some food, smash the like button, and be right back. See you.